You're ready.
Hello and welcome to the Laura and Benny show. The
Hands
conversation
up.
I wanted to have with you in January was, we've just gone through December. What did you notice in December that was so unique or so beautiful for all the brides who are going to get married in December 2023?
Okay.
See, I could nail this. Yeah, I could be the host.
Okay. I think we should just keep going. I'm
was.
not going to I'll leave you to it.
So come on, December.
I like Christmas.
How
Do
was
you like
December?
Christmas?
No, what can you talk to people about what you've just gone through in December, even though it's February now, because you're on the DOS there for the whole of January.
Before we get into it though, can I just say that we've been we're wearing the same clothes.
You feel like you need to excuse
for
yourself.
a third podcast in a row because we're actually just wearing
It's a
the
marathon.
same thing like for a month to save water. We're going to save the universe. We're not washing
global
clothes.
warming.
We apologise for the smell. No, we're doing more podcasts this year because we're recording them one after another.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
to explain myself. I was going to get changed.
It's kind of cheating though, isn't it though?
Can't go upstairs.
So you record, this is your third one today.
It is, but you know when you get in the flow, you're talking,
You
you're
kinda-
like,
you're
oh,
on
another
one.
idea, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, like you had an idea. Go on, back to what you're saying. No, December weddings.
Yeah, because it's so easy to kind of, when we're doing conversations, whatever, to kind of either talk in general terms or whatever, or not to always remember what just happened. So I was more thinking of, in the first week in January, we could talk about December that just went, so that people coming around in 2023 or 2024 kind of have a feel of chatting about December weddings. So that
Just as well you didn't ask me in January to talk about December
you're
weddings.
delirious.
I mean, I was so delirious.
Do you want to tell them your story then? You're so delirious that...
I was allowed to be on the internet and have access to a credit card. So I went and I booked flights for 4 people to go see our daughter who happens to be in France.
Yeah.
And
what country did you book?
Austria.
Ended up in Austria.
You can go skiing in Austria, right? And there is ski resorts in Austria, but our child's not in Austria.
Yeah.
I booked flights to Austria and I meant to book flights to France. That is how delirious I was in January. But I blame you for allowing me to book it. It's your fault.
It was just one of those cases where...
So maybe...
you know the way we're advising people to communicate well. Mine was like, just do it. If you need to do it, just book it.
Just book it there.
Just book it there. And you're...
I wouldn't mind, but we rang her and we were like, Amy, we booked flights to come see you. Isn't that great? And she's like, oh yeah, which airport you fly into? And it was only when she said that I went, I'll ring you back.
You booked the wrong airport. Yeah, you're doing it.
Country.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's why we weren't talking about January.
Yeah.
We've done it. So December, we had some really nice December weddings this year. I actually really enjoyed December. We had one of those Decembers where the weather played ball to an extent, as in it rained more in October last year than it did in December.
There was a time, was it in I have written down here, it was kind of one of my throw-ins but just because you brought it in there at some point you felt like you were fighting the rain. But
that was in October.
The reason I want to say it is because you felt like you were fighting the rain, but we always got the window. I don't think there was a day where it was a total washout.
No, we were running in and out of showers and stuff, but we always make it work. But December this year, it was just one of those really crisp Decembers. Like we got a lot of days where we were out on cliffs and the sun was setting with those blue skies, and like it's the ideal kind of weather for when you are booking a December wedding and you've kind of got that idea of that low light and that lovely kind of crisp, still weather. So we did get a lot of that this December. But I just wanted to kind of mention that, first of all, that doesn't happen every December. The weather, when you're booking a winter wedding, whether it's, November, December, January, February, you are kind of getting into a more unknown area when it comes to the weather. Now, we do live in Ireland and it can rain 365 days of the year. But obviously when you're booking a winter wedding, you're kind of, the percentage of that happening is just a little bit greater. So you are taking that little bit of a risk. But when it pays off in December, it's beautiful. But I wanted to kind of address as well. So you've got that bright day, you've got that lovely low light. It's not that windy. Remember that windy day? We won't mention that. But most days weren't that windy. But it's cold. Like, it's just simply cold. It doesn't matter how good the day is. Like, there were some days there where it was 3 or 4 o'clock in the day. We're outside taking photos, and it wasn't getting above 3 degrees.
Okay.
And when you're in, like, I know the lads have a 3-piece suit on. It's not going to keep you warm. Yeah. And the girls are in, these beautiful wedding dresses. Now, some of them would have a snug, but you don't want to picture all your wedding pictures to be with you, covering your arms with an over just to kind of keep yourself warm. And it wasn't just the couple that were getting out in it. The bridal party were being so good and coming out in the weather as well. Now, the photographs you have afterwards, they're epic. They're absolutely beautiful, and you can't beat that light. But I just wanted to kind of I know it sounds really obvious, but I don't think people realise how cold it can be when you're out for 15, 20 minutes and you've bare arms, and you're just wearing a wedding dress,
I suppose
or just
there's a
wearing
limit.
suit.
What you're kind of saying is there's a limit in time, but then also plan and be ready. It's a cold time of year, so be ready and be accepting of that.
Exactly.
And then you have a small window, and then
kind of just
what you're going to wear.
Suck it up for 15 minutes. You can do it, and you'll have them forever. And a lot of the time, the bridal party, they're so good, they will go along with it. But one thing I wanted to address is, it's one thing you as a couple deciding, I'm going to go out and I'm going to come back blue, but it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, the bridal party are like, we've had a couple of glasses of Prosecco, and we'll have a few whiskies later. We'll do it for you. But when it comes to the family, and a lot of couples we speak to, we kind of talk to them about different aspects of the day. And one question is where would you like to do your family photographs?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, people say to us, well, if it's a nice dry day, we'll do them outside the church. We've got a flower arch, or we're going to do them in the gardens of the venue. And it would be lovely. And we did have one couple this year. I remember we got to the Maryborough, and we were going to bring the couple inside to do the photographs of the family inside, and they all came out and they were like, no, we're going to suck it up and stand out in the cold.
And we lashed through it.
We did the entire family photo shoot in 4 degrees.
Yeah.
After the couple had been out in the cliff, they were absolute troopers. But for them, and that family was really kind of they were just upbeat and they didn't mind, and they were happy to go along with it. But the majority of the time, there are older members in the family and there are younger members in the family. So you've got young children who aren't, again, just in little dresses. You've got your gran there, your father might be a little bit elderly. I would never be one to suggest bring the family outdoors for your family photo shoot in 4 degrees. Now, again, you could be the exception and you're like, no, it's grand, we're going to do it. But it's kind of a case of, you do need to consider the cold when it comes to planning a location for your family photos. And a lot of the time it just means, instead of going outside the church, you're just going to go inside the church if you're at a church. Or instead of going into the gardens of the venue, you're going to go into the interiors of the venue, just to keep people a little bit warm. But the good thing about it is, in December, is you're kind of thinking, well, that's a shame we can't go outside with the family. You are getting your outdoor photos with yourself and your bridal party, potentially.
Right.
But as well as that, it's Christmas, so there's decorations everywhere. So a lot of the interiors of venues, they're beautiful anyway. And then you add in Christmas, and they all go above and beyond when it comes to putting the decor up and the Christmas trees and the amazing lights and everything. So I mean, you're not just standing them in, just a space, and a lot of the spaces are lovely. You're standing them in a really festive, well decorated interior
And I think there was
space.
a couple recently who they were going summer and they decided that they'd just gone through December the way we have, and they were just
changed.
actually, we want the Christmas buzz, and it's decorations, it's atmosphere, it's everything like that.
And it has got this beautiful festive feel to it, and everybody, I don't know, everyone's always in a good mood at a wedding, but I find it Christmas, and I think a lot of the time it's people coming together and people celebrating, and it's got this real feel of kind of family and friendship at Christmas. I'm being very kind of sentimental here in the corner, but it does have that lovely feel to it, and everyone always it feels like they're in great form and everyone's so excited to see each other. It's really nice.
Notice for guests is another thing that we have down here. Because you were saying I suppose it's random days of the week, isn't it? Particularly the last 2 weeks in Christmas is the closer you get to actual Christmas Day, New Year's Day, weddings are every day of the week.
Every day of the week. A lot of the time, the rest of the year, it's kind of you've got your Friday, Saturday weddings. A lot of time people go for a Thursday and they make a nice long weekend out of it, and you've got your bank holiday weekends where they might go Sunday, Monday. Very rare. You might get an intimate wedding or something on a Tuesday, or a short notice wedding kind of on midweek. But when you get to those last 2 weeks in December, every day is so if December 22nd falls on a Tuesday, everyone gets married on kind of
the Monday, Tuesday,
the 20th,
Christmas.
21st, 22nd. They're big days for weddings. So what I kind of wanted to say to people is that a lot of people will have to take the time off work because it is during the week. It's not an easy time to get off work. A lot of places are busy.
Depends on what type of work they're doing,
Exactly, yeah. So they kind of just need a little bit of extra notice that if you're getting married on a Tuesday, chances are you're also having a day two on the Wednesday, and they might have to travel to get to where you are as well. So they could potentially taking, 2 to 3 days off work just before they take Christmas holidays. So just give people a little bit of notice if you are planning a midweek kind of December wedding.
Right. And me being me, I just realised I think we had 2 or 3 people who cut and ate the cake this December.
Oh, they did actually. Yeah, that was a bit of a coincidence, though.
It was coincidence,
Yeah.
but I thought like, hey, this could be like cutting the dress could become a thing. No, it's not becoming a thing.
That's Kate's thing. That's solely Kate's thing. Yeah.
But cutting the cake, so.
Do you want me to tell people about it?
No. Well, quickly, it's
Yeah.
I suppose we should kind of explain it, but as well, it could actually be a nice thing again that time of year, because you're kind of like saying it's kind of chilly outside. So particularly if you're going to say a venue that's not the drinks reception venue and the dining venue.
It's solely for your ceremony.
It's for your ceremony.
Yeah.
You could cut the cake.
Yes.
Give people teas and coffees.
So what happened was Babette and Stephen got married there. Was it last year?
Would have been the summer.
Summer before.
Around spring, summer. It was
and
there.
Babette had her family would have had a tradition of, you have the wedding cake at the ceremony venue. The couple go up and they take their pictures and they do the cutting and everything. And then the guests and whoever made the cake actually come over, dismantle, cut it up into pieces and serve it to all of the guests. Yeah. And I think the reason that two of our couples saw this and thought, that's a great idea. Because I find that sometimes the cake is, it's utilised at the wedding, and sometimes it's just left on display in the corner until we're leaving at 11 o'clock at night. And I'm sure it gets served out eventually and used a day too. But they wanted to kind of really give people cake, eat the cake. They're people, let's eat the cake. So I think it really worked nicely in the winter time, was because they both had their ceremony, as you said, in a separate venue. They had the cake kind of on display for everyone to see. They did their cake cutting, and then it was cut up and served. But as well as that, the venues that we're in, and they organised with them to serve tea and coffee, glasses of Prosecco. So everybody after the ceremony was able to stay indoors and warm. They were given a bit of sugar in the form of wedding cake.
It was a nice winter thing to have,
and it was a warm drinks. Exactly.
And then the other thing is, in case someone's like, oh, but I really want my actual wedding cake to still be on display at the hotel, you can mix that up. So I think we saw one where they actually cut up the cake and served it out, and the other one was cupcakes. So you can do lots of different variations, and you can all work it out yourselves.
Well, they had the main wedding cake, and that was left, that wasn't touched, and everyone just ate the cupcakes from underneath it. And then the main wedding cake was brought to the venue. The cupcakes were consumed at the ceremony.
Exactly. So you can do both. You can either kind of lash into the actual main cake and serve it out, or you can kind of work out a way of having extra cake.
Now, if you're out there and you're thinking, this is for me, I'm a cake person, I want to eat the cake, I think it's a great idea to give the guests something to eat and some hot drinks, in that winter season. Can I just say that light is always a thing for winter weddings. So if you're doing this, you need to add the time it'll take to spend with, let's say, half an hour.
It's kind of like a mini reception.
A mini drinks reception.
A mini cake reception.
Exactly.
A cake reception.
A cake reception. So if you're doing your outdoor photos after you do this whole cake thing at the ceremony, which you probably will be unless you've done a first look.
Oh no, you would,
You need to push your ceremony back by half an hour, so that you're not eating the cake and walking out into the dark. Everything you add on pre-daylight photographs in winter, you need to push back your ceremony by that amount of time. Which your couples did, in fairness to them.
About light, so the light is pretty epic, and sometimes we catch it lovely in December of sunsets and stuff like that. So light is an issue in December. Everybody knows that. If you're booking a December wedding, everybody knows that.
We've talked that through so much.
So that is the thing. But to lead us into February, because we're in February, light is not so much a February, because we've done a few February weddings now and we're doing one next week. It's not as much an issue as it was in December.
It's actually not really an issue at all, to be honest, unless you're having an extremely late ceremony for whatever reason. So the sun sets around between 4:30 and 5.
It's getting later.
Over the month of February, it starts around 4:30, and by the time you get to the mid-February, it's 5. By the end of February, it's 5:30. Usually your bell coffee dinner is 5:30. So usually you want an hour in the drinks reception before the bell rings. So by 4:30, traditional, like on most wedding days, you're finish your photos, you're indoors, you don't need daylight anymore. So it's bright up until the time the couple are in the drinks reception. So you do not need to worry about daylight.
Whereas in December at 4 o'clock, it's getting dusky. Like on a darker day, it's dusky. And there's a bit of a stretch sometimes. You need to be kind of finished
your photos by 4 o'clock.
So February also, and because the snow is coming.
Better not be, Benny. I am not able for. It's not. It's just going to get a little bit cold. Like we ordered some more oil today, so don't run out. Got a bit of coal in the shed. No, it's just going to get a little cold. It's grand.
But in the same way, it can rain randomly. So just because people are kind of like February is becoming more active say this year and next year in terms of our bookings and activity, then I know it was weird from 2021, 2022, like in terms of February, January, everything going on, it was all a bit strange. But it's becoming more, we were kind of chatting about this, and it's the start of the season is now more February, it's more active. But the random bit about snow in terms of, I was looking back, so it's the same as the rain, it could randomly rain on your day, so you can't kind of guess when the snow is going to come, but just to put people at ease. No, in terms of like if people are planning like February or March. So it was 2018. It was kind of the first week in March where it was kind of like the beast from the east, which is going to come now next week or the week after.
We haven't had an easy few years really of weddings, have we? There's been things thrown at us left, right, and centre.
There was random snow January 19 because I was looking at photos and they came up randomly on my phone.
Yeah.
So it was just for a while. So in terms of kind of like the difficulty of snow around the wedding, you could like, and if it's kind of, it's a threat now, and then people might think, oh, what about this time next year and this time the year after?
You know, everyone's at home now listening to this, looking up the weather forecast, going, what's he talking about? Like it's only a small percentage chance it might snow.
It's 50-50, 80%. It changes depending on what news rag you're reading. But it's random. So like we're gonna say like February is becoming more active.
Yeah, it is, and we spoke with this kind of briefly in a previous podcast that we didn't record also today. That people that are getting a lot of the Christmas engagements, the Valentine engagements, they want a 12-month engagement, so they're looking at February, March of next year, thinking they'll have their pick of Fridays and Saturdays because they see it as an off-season month. It's no longer really an off-season month. The feedback I'm getting from people is their venues are coming back to them with 1, maybe 2 dates because everything else is booked. And we are seeing it as well. Our February for 2024 is much busier a year out than it would be usually. So, and I think that's just the general, as we spoke about beforehand, just the general business of weddings at the moment. But February can be a lovely month to get married in though. So I know everyone kind of sees it as off-season and you're kind of going, oh, I would have preferred March. It'll be brighter. Again, we just touched on that. You're okay for light. Or I would have preferred March. It'll be better weather. With Ireland, February, March, it could, as you said, like the snow could come in January, February or March. The weather can be anything. We did a wedding on Saturday, just gone.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
We were down in Kerry. If one more cat comes into this room and puts me off my train of thought, this is the second cat.
This is the second cat comes in to wreck this podcast.
I know. So we were down in Kerry during a wedding, and we went to this beautiful kind of gardens down in the Kerry area, Mucker's House and Gardens. And when I say the weather was picture perfect,
couldn't be calmer.
Like it couldn't have been better. Like it wasn't too cold. It was about 10 degrees. There was no threat of rain. There was no rain at all that day. And there was not an ounce of wind. It was that weird, that real stillness. So you had like the mountains in the background. You had the real still lakes. Everyone was able to go outside but not feel like, I've only got a couple more minutes left of me because I'm just too cold now. So you can get those really beautiful February days as much as you can get those beautiful December days.
So it could rain any day of the year in Ireland.
Any day of the year.
Grand, it's more likely to happen, say, in the winter months type thing.
Yeah.
But you can also get the absolutely calm days.
Exactly, yeah. So don't stress too much about I'm being pushed into February and I kind of wanted better weather, if that's what you're thinking. You just don't know where the weather is going to go. The only thing I would say to you is if you're looking at a February wedding versus say the end of spring summer wedding, and you're kind of like you're between the two, if you're the type of person that like you say, oh, I want to go to these certain...
Getting this cat before she jumps. Keep going, you're grand, keep going.
Okay, I will talk to the empty chair. If you're looking to, or someone that's kind of thinking about, either February or summer, and you've got an idea of a certain photo shoot location that you want to go to, and you're kind of like between the 2 months, it's a very different feel in these type of places, February versus summer. And it might sound like a really obvious thing, but the amount of people that they'll send me a photograph of, say, these beautiful gardens. They're like, I want to go here for my photographs. And the picture was taken in June, everything's in full bloom. All the trees are fully green. All the flowers are out. The grass is green.
Yeah.
If you go there in February, it's not quite the cherry blossom season.
There will
be no leaves in the tree and there will be no colour. So like if you are a real colourful green, full summer kind of feel to things, then that's a reason to push into the summer and away from February. But it's only if you're kind of picking somewhere that's based on it needs colour and bloom and greenery. There's loads of places you can go to in February that you don't need the colour.
Yeah, and I think if you're getting married, say in February, March, I think you know what you're getting into.
Yeah. Hopefully.
And then the bank holiday, so we didn't realise it, and wherever we were, we went somewhere on the bank holiday, and there was like something wasn't open.
No, we were doing a wedding, and everyone was like, "It's great, we've got a bank holiday weekend to celebrate." And I was like, "What bank holiday?" I didn't realise there was a bank holiday that weekend. We were doing that wedding.
But we were also walking around the zoo or something, and half of the stuff wasn't open. And we were talking to staff, and the place was jammers, and the staff were kind of like, "Yeah, we completely forgot it was bank holiday." But I think the February bank holiday, there was a good vibe. It's like January's kind of down month after Christmas, and January's January in Ireland.
But see, people do still get married in January. The only reason we're not talking about it is it is the off season.
It's very random. You might get the one or two random weddings in January, but February's coming around, and with the bank holiday as well, it's more of a target weekend. That kind of bank holiday.
What's the bank holiday? Is it like the second week? Is it?
It's always the first Monday of the month.
First Monday. Oh. Okay, yeah, sorry.
For all our bank holidays except special occasions.
But no, is it not Bridget's Day in February?
Don't be minding the Catholic Church. Bridget was pagan. It's a long conversation. Okay. But it's the first Monday of the month.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It's all right, Laura. Don't worry, you're poor little head. You'll be grand.
Sorry, I thought it was a different type of bank holiday. Go on. Yeah, that's fine.
What other type of
I don't know what's going on with this bank holiday. It was thrown at me surprising.
But the other big thing is rugby. So rugby happens in March. February and March.
I feel like every time we talk about a wedding recently, you are just like, we get in the car to go to a wedding, he starts talking about the rugby. We're out trying to do a photo shoot, he's standing there with the groomsmen. What are they doing? They're watching the rugby.
The lads watching the rugby, I didn't encourage them at all.
Did you not? No, I didn't say you didn't.
But just, there was one thing I noticed, it was, Ireland were playing France, it was a big game, there's a big buzz about it. Because of what's going to happen later on in the year. But in terms of, so if someone's getting married in February next year, there might be a random rugby game on. But one thing I noticed was we were in the Great Southern, and they have a great drinks reception room with its own private bar and everything like that. Down the end of it, we didn't even notice that there was TV there previously because it's never on. But it was on
until the crowd gathered when they rang the bell.
That was it. There was only when the crowd. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like the rugby game was on down there, and it was kind of like it satisfied the few lads who really needed to see the rugby game. But it wasn't like that was the be all and end all, and that everyone was focused on it. And particularly because, believe it or not, Laura, there's a Rugby World Cup coming up in September/October. So people need to think about this because there's going to be...
This really freaks me out because the first wedding we did this year, literally the rugby match was starting the same time the wedding ceremony was supposed to be starting. And I really was fearful of this, but in fairness to them, all those guests were so good. There was no one being dragged out of the bar. No, they were so good about it.
Whatever the sport is, the majority of people... even if it's a big event, they still go into, say, the ceremony, or if it's on later, they still go into the banqueting room. And you'll always get a few lads who are just mad for it, and they have to see it, and they're going to be bold no matter what, and watch the sport, whether it's on their phones or whatever it is, they're going to do that. But it didn't totally distract from the drinks reception that the majority of people were all doing their own thing, listening to the music, chatting away, and grand, there was a TV. So it doesn't have to be the focus of the room, or it doesn't have to take away from your room, from the drinks reception.
So what you're kind of saying is that, like, instead of me going, I don't want the rugby being part of my wedding day. I do not want people watching the rugby match on my wedding day and saying, do not turn on the match in my area.
Okay, so say for instance...
will then go find it
somewhere else. Okay. So say for instance, if you're in the Great Southern, it's great that it's private conference centre, completely away from the main hotel. And the main hotel is lovely down the other end. But if the rugby match wasn't there, and say there was 5 lads that were absolutely mad for the rugby, wanted to watch it, they could be down the other end of the hotel, and they could be gone for the whole match. So
and we have seen days split for whatever reason, be it rugby or football, or you know, there was something going on where you invite 100 people to your wedding, 60 people decide to go off and find the match in a public area, and then you're kind of just left with 40 people in the drinks reception going, where is everybody? Like, do you know where everyone is? And for us then we're kind of like, what's going on? Can we go up there because it's a public area? Do we take photographs? Do we stay here? What's happening? But no, you're right. It's kind of
just be aware of it this year.
It to them. Like, don't deny them of it. Like, keep them together.
Don't freak out about it as well. Like, so many people would have planned their wedding, say, for September this year, not even knowing that the rugby's on.
There's a million people out there right now, maybe not a million, but quite a few people out there at the moment listen to this going, I didn't even think about this.
But then the other thing is, so the Soccer World Cup just happened, say, before Christmas this year.
I know.
But when there's so much of it on as well, the majority of people just go, oh, it's just another match.
But is there not more football than there is rugby though? There'll be less rugby matches.
Yeah, there will be less
Yeah.
rugby matches, but at the same time, is what I'm saying is, so when there's like so much of it a block, say for 4 weeks, there's lots and lots of games.
Yeah.
When the games come around, people care less about the games because there's another one tomorrow and they watched one last night. So like while they're aware it's on and they're keeping an eye on the score, it's not going to be the be all and end all of your day. Like lads, get over it. Particularly if it's not that important or that competitive of a game, they're not just going to herd and kind of obsess about it. But if you kind of, like you're saying, is get a balance, drip feed them a bit.
Yeah.
You can probably keep them in the drinks reception area.
Yeah,
if it's a small TV, you could have the match on with no sound, and at least they can see it, and they're getting the feed of something rather than it's on a big screen down in the public bar.
Yeah, that's
or across the road or something.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's February. Anything else about February? It's not off season. Lots of rugby to watch. I liked it this year.
Did you like it? We're only halfway there.
No, February.
Yeah, no, we're halfway there.
We're halfway there.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, it's only
know
February.
we've another wedding over the weekend. It'll be nice.
Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, that's kind of December and February.
Cool.
You happy now we have this discussion? I know it's a little bit late. I know you wanted to have it in January.
Yeah.
But at least we do actually get to, I don't know where we're going now, in March. We're flying somewhere. I must check those flights to see if they actually are right. Be fine.